Hello everyone and welcome back to Prestige Reef. Today is one of the more exciting updates I've got for you. I've got some new coral, I got some new fish, and System 2 is pretty much ready to go. So let me show you around. Right, so the first thing you'll notice is that the radions are off on System 2. And that's because I have got obviously a range of bags in here. Now, these what I'll do is I will show you some of the corals a little bit at a time throughout the video, so that you don't get them all in one go, and it keeps you interested basically. So now these are a really interesting Euphyllia. Now it's sort of one that doesn't really know what it wants to be, because the polyps, some of them are green and some of them are purple, and they've got sort of a paint splatter effect. So you can see, so this is all the same colony. You see that some of them are green and some of them are purple, but also not just that, the actual, on each individual polyp, some of them are hammers, as you can see, and some of them are frog spawns. Now I don't know if this is a hybrid, but this is as close to a hybrid that I think you're going to get with regards to Euphyllias, but it's hard to show you. But you can see that there's little balls there, which are the frog spawn, and then obviously you can clearly see the hammers as well. So as I said, I believe this is a hybrid. I'm not entirely sure though. I have about 60 of these heads. Now you can see that they need a little bit of TLC, because there's some hitchhikers on there. But what I'm going to go do now is cut them all right down to the polyp, basically, so that nothing can be transferred into the tank. But these I've been waiting for, obviously, well, not obviously, but I've been waiting for these for a long time. So it's really exciting to finally get them in. The other new coral, which came from a different shipment, this actually came from one of the people that follows me on Instagram, is this mushroom. Now I had no idea how big this mushroom was going to be. You can see it's closed up a little bit. Oh, it's like dancing. But the colours on this mushroom are unbelievable. There you go. This is one of the corals that I got online. Every time I pick it up, it puts its like filaments out, so it doesn't like to be picked up. But you can see just how amazing the colorations are on this, and you can also see what a huge difference between the two last mushrooms I ordered, mail order. So this is obviously the last one I ordered, and then the one that I ordered before that one was this one. So look how tiny that one is in comparison. So when it comes to ordering corals online, you don't really know what you're getting until obviously it turns up. Now, as I said, some of those Euphyllias will need a little bit of TLC just to clear them of everything. Now, this is unavoidable. Every fish shop will have issues with pests coming in sometimes. Every online seller, and even people, if you buy from other people's tanks, they all have potential. There's always the potential to get something. It's what people do about them after they receive the corals which really matters, to try to limit or mitigate that becoming an issue for you. So I'll show you just how close to the polyp that I cut, and obviously some of you will have seen how I cleaned the corals previously, but I do everything I can to make sure that nothing is passed on into your tanks. Because the other thing that I do, it leads me nicely onto the new fish. So in these tanks, I also have lots of little helpers, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So because I know that having things come into the system of corals from other places is inevitable, and because I also know it's almost impossible for me to spot absolutely everything. So what I've done is I've put some little helpers in here. So I have emerald crabs for any bubble algae. Now I don't have any bubble algae, but I put them in there anyway, because I'd rather get ahead of the game. Emerald crabs eat other things, they eat other types of algae, so there's no risk to them. And I just thought, if I put them in there, if I do miss something, it's much less likely to become a big issue than if there's nothing in there at all. So I have emerald crabs for bubble algae. I have bumblebee snails in here somewhere for vermitid snails. I have obviously the tangs are for algae, and I've also got lots of little snails for algae. And then I've got a new fish, or I've actually got a couple of new fish. Now I will soon be importing some very nicely coloured acropora. And unfortunately, acropora sometimes come with pests. So I bought these just as a precaution. I thought it would take much longer to get hold of them, but when I managed to find some, I thought I'll buy them straight away, and they're already eating frozen. They're quite. The first couple of days they were pretty boring, but I've actually grown quite attached to them. So I've got one right here. So let me show you what it is. Right. So this little guy is a dragon-faced pipefish, and they're known for eating all little critters off SPS corals. Now, mainly Acropora. Now, I don't have a lot of Acropora. Actually, I have not a lot at all at the moment. But in the future, I'll be importing large quantities of really nicely coloured ones. I've got a supplier that will do that does really nicely coloured ones. So I thought, as a backup, I thought in case if ever I miss anything, this little guy is going to be the one that it's like a little SPS guardian for you. He's not the only one I have. I actually have two in here. Luckily, on day one they started eating frozen copepods. So, which is I hear that keeping them well fed can be quite difficult. But as I said, he's eating already, which makes it a lot easier. It takes a huge weight off my mind. So, as I said, I've got two in there. This is the small one. You can't see the other one. The other one's on the other side I can see. But at the moment they remain nameless. So if you would like to name them, I don't know if they pair up like seahorses, but they spend an awful lot of time together like tangled up. So there's a possibility they could be a pair, but I don't know. They came out of a tank with lots and lots of them in. So they're my new fish. As I said, they're like a pretty cool new addition. I've never kept them before. I was a little bit concerned with regards to the flow, but they seem to be doing pretty well with the flow. So it doesn't seem to cause them too many issues. That's them. And then let me show you System 2. Right now, as I said, System 2 is, as you can see, last time it wasn't full, but it's now full. Let's have a quick look at the temperature. So, as you can see, it is, I think it settles at around 24 degrees. Now, 24 degrees is well within the survivability rate of coral. It's not the ideal temperature to keep coral at, but it's, considering these tanks have no heaters in them. They're like the heaters in these tanks aren't on. So the only thing that's warming this water up is the air conditioning. The other thing that I can show you is the salinity, which is 1.025. That's exactly the same as the salinity for this tank as well. I like to run it at 1.025, or well, you can see it's sort of between 2.5 to 2.6. That one is the System 1's 1.025.5, according to the salinity probe. So you can see that this system is literally ready to go right now, pretty much. The other thing that you'll notice is that the frag racks are in. I have, you can see that I don't have all the legs for them yet, but I have a considerable number of legs, so that's good. So all the racks are in for this tank. They're all in for the bottom ones, and then again these ones all have their racks, but I just don't have all the legs yet. So yeah, we are literally good to go. All I need to do is turn the lights on and turn the protein skimmer on, and I can put coral in this today. I won't actually put coral in it today, but yeah, things are moving very quickly now. I also, you can see that I finally got round to cleaning the protein skimmer. In the last video I bragged about how I never clean it, but I thought it was time, it was due its clean, and the skimmate that was on the top bit was about that thick. So that even though obviously the cup was filling up and draining and everything, it can't be good for the system to have a thick bit of skimmate on it. So although I don't necessarily need to empty the cup, I decided I'm going to clean it once a week just for good practice. And then, as you can see, I have set the saw up because I'm ready to start fragging some of the new corals. Now, as I said, the Euphilia isn't the only thing I got. I have some really nice, interesting pieces. A lot of them are sort of named pieces. But something I will show you. Now, these corals actually came from a friend of mine. Now, a lot of the corals, some of these corals, I sold to him, where I sold him one. So these are the sun-kissed bounce mushrooms. and as you can see, he then sold me 10 back. So I'm sure you can work out that this has not been a cheap order, but these will be good to go again soon. They've been out of stock for a while, but I know lots and lots of people are interested in these, so they're something that will definitely sell out very quickly, I reckon. And yeah, as I said, the one that I had hasn't split for a while, so the fact that they had 10 split is brilliant. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, I have somewhat of an issue with regards to getting new stock in. Now, that won't be an issue in the long run because the main aim of this is to be self-sustaining. So I want to grow, and many of the corals, probably about 60-70% of the corals, I've grown myself. So, but I need to be able to get new corals in for broodstock, basically. Now, because the wholesalers don't want to deal with me, it does make things slightly more complicated. So, which is why in an earlier video I came to you guys and said, if you've got any corals you want to sell, let me know. Well, obviously this guy, he had corals he wanted to sell. He's as I said, he's a friend of mine. And he said to me, I've got it was a whole poly box full. Are you interested? And I said yes. And then I took them all in one go, which is probably the most money that he has ever made in a single day. And considering the corals have grown themselves over the course of the last year, it's probably the easiest money he's ever made as well. So if you have corals, and this will probably be part of a continuous part of the business. If you have corals that you have too much of, let me know, and I'm sure with some people we might be able to do some stuff. Obviously, I've just spent a huge amount of money, so maybe best not to ask me today. But in the future, if you have corals you want to get rid of, let me know. It's as I said, what I'm doing with most of the pieces is the fish just bit my finger. That's why I jumped then. I wasn't looking at the camera, and the powder blue tang literally just came and bit my finger. But it didn't hurt, it just made me jump. What was I saying? I've lost track of my train of thought now. So what I'm doing is I am taking corals, fragging them up, keeping small pieces of them for myself to continue growing, and then selling some of the other frags. So, and the reason I need to do that is because now that the second system is up and running, I have a feeling that the electricity bill is going to be around £500 a month. So that's based on what the electricity bill for one system is, and that system's even bigger. So I need to obviously start generating money, which is why some of the corals obviously I'm fragging, and then as I said, I'm keeping for growing in the future. Anyway, I need to go back to the frag station because I need to start preparing these corals. Right now, as you can see, these are far from little colonies. These are huge, and this isn't even the biggest one. I think the biggest one's down there. But the other thing that's interesting, what I've realised and noticed with all euphyllias, the thinner the branches, the faster they seem to grow. So these are actually a really fast growing version from my, because I've got some of these myself previously, but I don't have this quantity. So the ones I've got myself, I've obviously kept for myself, whereas these are for you guys basically. So what I need to do is firstly I need to clean them up to make them look all pretty for you. You can see that if I literally cut just above or just below where the white line is, there's nothing there. So it's the best way, and then they still go through the same dipping process that you always see. There's no point in me showing you the dipping process again because I think I've shown it twice before. So just got to put it there. Once all the polyps have been drawn back in, I'll then dip it in iodine, and then once they've been dipped in iodine, I'll then start cutting. Right, now as you can see, I've fragged the colonies up into, most of them are single heads. There are a couple of doubles, and they are in an iodine dip. So they've already been in Coral RX, and now I've just done an iodine dip as well after that. And this allows me to get a real good look to see if anything has been missed. Now what I'll do is I pick up each one, and if there's anything even remotely on it, it then goes back to the saw, because the saw not only cuts through the skeleton, it also is quite good at shaving anything off as well. And then they get put in here, where they will then be obviously they'll be put into tank water so that the glue can set, and then before they go into the main display tank, or into system 1, not display tank, before they go in there, each piece will once again be checked with the magnifying glasses, which I've used on them already, just to see if I've missed anything else. As I said, it's almost impossible to avoid them, to avoid, not them, but to avoid getting corals when you're getting them from other people, or from, well, it doesn't matter if you're getting them from other people, and it doesn't matter if you're getting them from the ocean. It's 10 times worse when they come from the ocean, but each, you see all sorts of things on them that you've never even seen before when they come from the ocean. So it's all about how you handle them afterwards. So this obviously, I want to be honest with you with the channel and show, look, this does happen sometimes, and this is what I do about it, so that hopefully you feel like you can buy in with confidence, knowing that that I'm doing probably better than most people would do with them. The other thing that will happen, obviously, once they've got in there, they'll then go into the tanks, which have bumblebee snails, which, as I mentioned earlier, and bumblebee snails are believed to eat vermeted snails. So it's like a double check. So I check, then they get checked again, then they get checked again, then they go in the tank, and then the bumblebee snails check my work for me. So it's more of a quadruple check than a double check. Now that I've done all those Euphilia, which I said it's difficult to what to name them, but I've been told they're hammer spawns. So, yeah. So now I've done all the hammer spawns. This is probably one of my favourite things. You probably can't read that; it's probably backwards, I assume, because of the camera. But these are rainbow fungia. Now they're only little tiny ones. It appears in the bag. However, I remember, obviously I know, well, fungi usually open up double their size anyway, but the last time I saw rainbow fungi was either at Macna or Reefapalooza, and I wanted one so badly. So these are, as I said, these are one of the most exciting things for me anyway. I love fungi, so I've got quite a few in the tank over there, but some of these I'll definitely be keeping myself. But as I said, all of these corals have come from a tank, so none of these are wild corals. These are all aquaculture. So one of the main benefits of aquaculture corals, even these ones, he's got a mother colony which died, which is how fungi reproduce, and then obviously once I seem to remember the story was he got stung by a lobo, and once it was stung, it then obviously died, and it was left in the tank, and then all of a sudden loads and loads of babies started popping off of it. So as I was saying, basically, so these are aquacultured, and aquaculture corals, in theory, are tougher than wild-caught corals, which is obviously the main benefit, which is why I'm trying to either grow myself or get from other people in the hobby as well. That's another benefit, because you have healthier, hardier corals generally. So yeah. So let me get these dipped and in, and then I've still got about 10 more different coral species. I do them one at a time, so it takes a little while, but we'll get it done. Right now, it feels like what has been a very long day, but the corals have been in for a couple of hours now. The fungias have opened up, the bounce mushrooms have opened up. I've got the majority of the hammer spawns, let's call them hammer spawns, have opened up. So I've got like a top-down coral viewer, so I'll put my camera in that to show you from above for the hammer spawns, at least. I don't know if they're called hammer spawns. That's what I was told they were. Let me know your opinion, obviously, in the comment section below what you think they are. But they're really, really nice now that they're all out. And yeah, so I'll start with the bounce mushrooms. Right, now this is one of the sun-kissed bounce mushrooms that you saw in the bag earlier. There is one on the other side, and there's also another 8 of them, I believe. The rainbow fungias are there. You can't. As you see, they're a bit bigger than when you saw them earlier, but they're still only about an inch long, each of them. But under the blue lights, they really pop. And these are the Euphilia that you just saw me fragging. So you can see they've all come out, or most of them have come out nicely. Some of them are almost completely purple. Some of them are purple and green, and some of them are mostly green. So when you're fragging them, you can't see the different colours, so it's hard to see what you actually get. But you can probably see a bit better now than earlier that some of the polyps are clearly hammers, and some of them are clearly perfect spheres. So it's difficult to say what exactly they are, but I'm sure someone in the comment section will let me know what they think. And I think I only have one single hammer, as in one head of single hammer left, and then the rest of them are all taken or need to be fragged still. So I think that one there is literally the last one that has, there's actually two there, but that one there is the last one which hasn't gone. So if you're interested in these, I'd get in quick, because it'll be a while before I can frag the others, because they're not quite at the level where I can frag them yet. The polyps are too close together. So so there's that, and then I'll show you some of the other corals. Right, and then these are some of the corals which you didn't see me frag earlier. So I've got some freak hair pavona, which looks, I've not had before, but it looks, I'll definitely be keeping a piece of this to grow out. I've got a type of litho. Now this one's more yellow. I've got a more orange one on the website, which is called Mind Melt. It's either litho or litho. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, but it's yeah, it's on the website already, and that one's done really well. So this one's much more of a goldy colour. It's hard to tell if the camera's picking up the gold colour, but the other one's definitely more orange than this one. And then I've got some this is some burnt orange Lactastria. And then the final thing to show you, which is the Cephastrias. Now, as you can see, for whatever reason, Cephastrias just don't do well. There's when I first dipped them, but as you can see, they're still alive. It's just they definitely take it harsher than some of the other corals. I've actually got a really nice Cephastria over here, this red one, which I think is probably one of my favourites. But none of these will be on the website until they look back to normal like this one is. See, this one, or these three, all did exactly the same thing, where they were a little bit unhappy at first, but given a couple of weeks, you can actually see that they're actually growing onto the frag plugs now. So it won't be long, and then I'll be able to put them on the website, and they'll be ready to go. Because I won't. There's no point in me selling any corals which aren't in perfect condition, because if they're not in perfect condition, people won't come back. So that's why I'd rather just wait. Right, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Please feel free to comment below if you have any questions. I just want to say a massive thank you to all the new people that signed up to Patreon this week. We've had quite a few people, which is brilliant, because it helps me out massively. And obviously, they're also enjoying the benefits of being a Patreon. So they get advance notice of when corals are back in stock to essentially beat the crowd. Because as soon as I do a post saying that corals are in stock, I get about 200 people on the website. So it's nice to be able to beat the crowd. And the other thing that I've started doing is, which is new to this week, is I'm putting corals on there which are sort of Patreon specific. So they will be uploaded to Patreon far sooner than far before they are uploaded to the website. So that's not even beating the crowd. That's like exclusive access. But obviously these people are helping keep me going, the channel going, the farm going. So it helps out a lot. As I said, if I can get 100 people do it, then it makes a really big difference. So anyway, have a good week, and I'll see you next time.